What's the name of it?
Well, might want to hear. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Good evening. Welcome to the Select Board regular meeting. Before we get into our regular agenda, tonight we have a special public hearing or a Select Board public hearing regarding the franchise ordinance. We have Tony Bigu here as our consultant. And
Jill Kramer, town attorney.
Town attorney, thank you. You want to give us an overview,
Sure.
please?
Yeah.
If you don't mind stepping up, thank you.
Podium so people can hear and see. Tony Vigu, retired 20 years for the city of South Portland, and I do this for the fun of it, I guess you could say. And the town of Lyman asked me to come help them with their franchise renewal a number of years ago. And we've been through negotiations with Time Warner and then Charter when they took over for several years now. And we're down to pretty much the end game. And the question came up, well, the town doesn't have a cable ordinance. And it's usually best, and the state law says it's usually best, that you have an ordinance before you have a franchise agreement. And so we looked at a number of ordinances, and we settled on a less, I guess, extensive ordinance. It's a very basic cable ordinance, which covers all your requirements as far as bonding and insurance and those kinds of things that you have to look out for. What it doesn't get into a lot of detail on is penalties or issues that come up if there's a non-compliance problem with the cable operator. And for that, you'll have to put something in your franchise agreement to make sure that there's some way to compensate the town if the cable company does something they're not supposed to do, like dig up a sidewalk when they're putting in their cables and don't put it back the way they're supposed to, those kinds of things. Or if they violate a state law, I mean, it can be extreme. So this basic ordinance that you have tonight is okay with me. It's okay with Brad. I'll let Jill speak. But from what I've heard, it's okay. My suggestion is two things. One, just be aware that you need to put some type of penalty or way to get your money back if the cable company doesn't do what they're supposed to in your franchise agreement, because it's not in the ordinance. And the second thing is, as you know, and I think most of the people here know, cable companies are moving away from the traditional cable service, and they're moving to streaming platforms. And I read recently in the trades that both Comcast and Charter are going to be offering a box called Xumo. It's a streaming box. And when they do that, you'll be getting your cable TV channels, which were formerly channels, through a streaming box. And to protect yourselves down the road, you need to have a term that covers that. And there's a bill in the state legislature right now, which is modeled after bills in other state legislatures, and in fact, in law in some other states, that instead of calling the cable operator a cable operator, they're called a video service provider, because there are other types of entities that provide video services similar to cable services. And you want to be able to protect yourself down the road when that comes about. So the only suggestion I would make is to the ordinance to include a definition for video service provider. And that definition I sent over to Lindsay, and it is in this bill that's going to the legislature. It'll be heard by the EUT committee on October 25th. It already has the backing of Maine Municipal Association's Legislative Policy Committee. We've reviewed it with the PUC and the Attorney General's office, and they've offered suggestions, and we've made those changes. So going into the EUT committee, the bill looks good. A similar bill last year passed both houses of the legislature, but it was vetoed by the governor because she felt that it would cost the consumers too much, since there was a clause in the bill that required regulation and oversight by the PUC. And the PUC would then add that on people's bills. So we took that out. So this version of the bill does not have regulation and oversight by the PUC, but it does have mediation and arbitration services by the PUC, which is a less expensive or no expense for the PUC, if in fact there is a conflict with you folks, between you and the cable operator, that you can't solve locally. Okay? As always, the Attorney General is there if they're breaking the law or doing something egregious. But that's the whole story on the video service provider definition. It's there to protect the town if you want to include it in your ordinance. There are some other entities. I'll give you one, Tidewater Telecom. They're an internet service provider. They serve people up in the mid-coast area, Newcastle, that area. And they provide an internet service, but they also have a channel selection app in that service. And it looks just like cable TV. You can select your 6, 8, 13 and your other channels, just like you would with a cable service. So they are a video service provider, and they have already recognized the fact that they need to have a franchise with the town, and they've done that with 2 of the towns that they serve, and I'm sure they'll do more. But this bill in the legislature will require any entity like that that comes into town as an internet service provider and they offer a service that has a channel selection application, they need to get a franchise with the town. And that franchise, by the way, can't be any less than the franchise you already have with the cable operator. In other words, they have to match the terms of the current franchise that you have. If it's any less, then you have to change the franchise that you have with the cable operator and make that one less also. So it levels the playing field is what they say. That's the term that they use for people who are doing the same thing in the town. And it's that way because they have facilities along the public right of way, okay? And they provide a service similar to cable. If an internet service provider comes in and they don't have facilities along the public right of way, for example, your 5G phone providers, they don't have to have a franchise agreement, okay? And if they don't offer a channel selection app, they just offer internet services, they don't have to have a franchise. Netflix, Disney, Hulu, those entities that are streaming entities, they don't have to have a franchise because they don't have cables on your public right of way. And while we're at it, the whole purpose of this thing, okay, is to compensate you for the use of your public right of way. I've talked in other meetings about this before, but in the law, in federal law, says a town may charge a rental fee for the use of the public right of way, the commercial use of the public right of way. Think of it as the public park or a ball field where a company comes in and puts up signs and advertising, or they sell their products, hot dogs or whatever they're selling. But it's a public field, it's a park or whatever. The town should be compensated for the commercial use of that space because it belongs to the public. So under the law, the dusty side of the road, okay, is the public right of way, and the town can charge a rental fee called a franchise fee for the use of that space. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's up to you guys if you want to. And a lot of towns use that fee to communicate better with their citizens through meetings like this, televising them, putting them on the internet. Some towns use it to fill potholes with. You can do anything you want with that franchise fee that you get. And the cable operators, unlike a normal business, that if you charged a rental fee to, they would include it as a cost of doing business. They wouldn't pass it through directly to their customers. Cable companies, on the other hand, pass it through directly to their customers, so it appears at the bottom of the bill like a tax, but it isn't. It's a rental fee. And that's the explanation for franchise fees. I'm not here to tell you to do one thing or another. I just want you to make an informed decision, knowing all the facts.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please.
Hi, Carol Baker-Rue, Mast Road. I have a couple of issues I'd like to raise from the proposed ordinance. And it's kind of weird because within the ordinance then comes to a franchise contract. So I don't know if you're even discussing that tonight, but it sounded since we went into fees that perhaps you're exploring that. So I guess my first part would be that I don't see within this particular ordinance anything holding whoever you allow to get a franchise to any kind of performance expectations. So under the public hearing thing, it says before you give them anything, you shall review the applicant's character, financial, technical qualifications, and the adequacy and feasibility of its qualifications to operate a cable television system within the town. I guess what I would like to ask is, what are you going to do if you find they're not living up to what they told you? So for instance, I currently subscribe to Spectrum cable pretty much so I can have nothing on a regular basis, and I don't want to have to go through the app and blah, blah, blah. There hasn't been a night for the last 2 months that I can watch a game or a match or something on nothing where it doesn't pixelate, freeze, go to black screen. I have called. They always tell you reboot the box. I go, yes, I'm not an idiot. And then we get the next solution, and then we get the next solution, and then they say we're going to send someone to your house, they sent this wonderful gentleman to my house and he says, you're right, it has nothing to do with your wiring, but I will fix everything while I'm here and put new ends on. He says, we've been trying to elevate this for over a year with Spectrum. So I guess what I would like to know is, do you intend to put some sort of performance expectation on whoever you do a franchise with? And I notice it's not exclusive, it's not an exclusive contract, because I feel like right now I have a contract, if you will, with Spectrum that I'm paying them X amount of dollars and they're providing a service and they're not providing it. And I've been able to get nowhere. I've done everything I can personally. And I don't think Norm Hutchins is going to take my phone call. I think he's still on my bill. So do you intend to put something in like that?
I can answer that if you want.
Okay. And then I have one more question, but I'll give you the mic.
When a customer has a service complaint, typically that's handled, as she has done very properly, through the normal channels. If she doesn't get a resolution to that, which I've had happen on my road, the very same problem, by the way, you can contact the Office of the Attorney General. And there's a form that you fill out on the website at the Attorney General's office. And in fact, the Attorney General has to send to each town every year a form that says, the Attorney General's office is here if there is customer complaints that are not resolved by the cable operator, okay? So there's a process, and if you go on the Attorney General's website, there's a form that you can fill out. Secondly, most of the issues that you address, especially egregious issues and performance standards, will be handled in the franchise agreement, not the ordinance. And the franchise agreement has a section called liquidated damages, which is the other word I was thinking of instead of penalties. You can impose liquidated damages on them for so much a day, up to a maximum of whatever the town negotiates. So yes, there are alternatives, but I tell you from personal experience, and I've been working with 5 different cable companies at my house since I started doing this in 1977. And Charter is probably the worst as far as overall service, but their technicians are very nice. The technicians try to do the best that they can with the time that they have and the training that they've been given. In my case, to resolve the issue, they had to replace an amplifier down the road in front of somebody else's house one time. Another time, it was a single wire in my neighbor's residence that went to an old TV set that he had unhooked. And the wire was dangling there and either was shorting out on something, but it wasn't being used. So they had to disconnect that wire from the amplifier in the house that sent it to all the other TVs. So it can be complicated, but I sympathize with you. You know, I hear your pain. The Attorney General's office does have a form that you can fill out if you can't resolve it locally. And I would tell the folks at Charter that that's what you're going to do. Okay. And I also have a government relations manager's cell phone. So if you're so frustrated, let me know through the town or whatever, and I'll give you her cell phone number. And in the past, when I've raised it to that level, it's been taken care of. There was a federal judge in Whitesbridge Road in Standish one time who was having problems. You bet. He got taken care of immediately. So there's ways. I'm sorry you have this issue, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, Tony, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that language of liquidated, that's in our current draft, correct? That we've been bouncing back and forth?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they are specifically.
Me either.
$50 a
Yeah.
day up to a
Yeah.
maximum of 5,000, something like that.
Right,
But yes.
Okay.
There certainly will be in there before you sign it.
yes,
I'm
okay.
sure of that.
Cool.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I tried every other state office, so I'll go with Attorney General next. But I guess my other question goes with the franchise contract itself. It says the municipal officers of the town may contract on such terms, conditions, and fees as they deem. So are the municipal officers, in this case, the select board? And just the select board, or is that town manager? Is that,
This is the board, yeah, that's what we've been working on for
Okay.
since I've gotten on the board, right? It's back and forth, and you can
7 years.
imagine they don't wanna, it works in their favor if we don't have something settled, right, essentially?
No, I just wondered who the
Sure,
municipal
right.
officers were that were going to
Oh, sorry,
negotiate.
yes.
So I guess I will follow up because Tony and I were discussing fees even before the meeting started. I think I'm pretty clear. I really would hope you would not charge the franchise fee. Lindsay had included in an earlier packet a letter from the government affairs liaison from Spectrum, and her name was Shelley Winchenbach. And she said that a franchise fee is imposed by the municipality. A town can elect not to impose it. Charter does not collect or charge a fee if the town chooses not to impose a franchise fee, and Charter does not add additional franchise fee costs to the cable packages. So a franchise fee would be something you would add. And I know my mother recently had one assessed by her town. It was definitely more than $5. She had no notice it was coming. And to say that there are towns that use that franchise fee to fill potholes is concerning to me, because then it really is a tax, because what we're supposed to be using our tax money for in Lyman is things like filling the potholes. So if you're only going to charge that tax to people who choose a cable subscription, that would seem incorrect to me. If we're all going to share the burden of better communication, then let's just be honest and throw it onto the regular budget. But I think it's hard enough, as I was discussing with Tony prior to the meeting, to get your bill down to a manageable level. And then for you to have a fee you can't discuss because the town's imposing it means you're stuck with that fee forever, or at least within the terms of the franchise agreement. So again, I'm really going to request you take a hard look at that. Most cable subscribers are 65 and older. And if you look at older people, for instance, my mother, primary source of entertainment is watching TV. So when you're trying hard not to make a new imposition on people of a certain age or people in a certain income bracket, you'd be hitting those people with this fee. So please consider that.
It's not in the ordinance.
And she has a good point.
Two different things.
Once again, I will tell you that in towns that elect not to get a franchise fee, eventually the cable rate creeps up, and the residents end up paying the same as the town that does get a franchise fee. And I'll tell you why this is. Cable operators charge as much as the market will bear. They know how much they can charge before people cut the cord and go get a dish or some other streaming application. If the town chooses not to collect a franchise fee, a rental fee, and keep that money local to do something good with, cable company looks at it and says, well, there's that little extra we can charge there in that town. And it seems insignificant, but you multiply it by the number of subscribers over the number of towns, and it amounts to millions of dollars in a year that they can make if the town doesn't charge a franchise fee. On the other hand, in this case, if you charge a fee, I think Shelley's estimate was about $60,000 the town would get every year to do whatever they wanted to with. And again, I'm not telling you this is what you have to do. I'm saying this is what a lot of towns do. And as I said, you can use it for anything you want. The more enlightened towns put it towards better communications with their citizens. That's just the pluses and the minuses of it, and it's a decision the town has to make. Not tonight.
So,
Tony, I'm gonna ask a really stupid question.
There's no stupid question.
All this cable stuff, there's a lot to it, and I know there's a lot of laws and there's a lot of utility stuff. But if I have this right, is we pay the cable company a franchise fee, or did they pay us?
The town charges the cable company the franchise fee.
Okay.
It's a rental fee for using the public.
For using
right-of-way.
the public easements?
Right. The cable
Okay.
company passes it through to the subscriber,
Okay,
okay?
so the subscribers
ends up
already
paying.
pay that franchise fee?
If the town decides to collect it. If the town doesn't decide to collect it, it won't be on your bill.
We don't have it yet.
We don't have it
Okay,
yet.
so if the town doesn't charge, like, I'm gonna use Spectrum as
Yeah,
an example.
fine.
So if the town does not charge Spectrum the rental space for their wires,
Yeah.
then there is no franchise fee.
Right.
I'm just trying to put
Yeah,
these numbers
that's
where they
correct.
belong in which column.
That's right.
And therefore, they get free rent. And they
Free
just
for the right to
have a
live.
normal subscription rate to their customer.
Mhm,
If the town decides to charge a franchise fee
mhm.
to Spectrum, Spectrum gives it back to the town.
They collect it from the customers and give it to the town.
They collect it from the customers in whole or in part. I don't know whether it's the exact same percentage or whether it's a partial percentage, so they make a little profit
Here's what
for
happens.
bookkeeping. I don't know.
No, they have to. They'll be audited if they don't do it right. And 6 towns got caught not doing it right about 3 years ago. There was
Yeah.
an attorney that caught them. So there is an audit process. But a lot of cable companies, if you don't say in your franchise agreement, will collect that money from the towns, put it in their bank all year long, earn interest on
And they
it.
get
And
interest.
then once a year, they pay it to the town without interest.
Right,
That's how they make money on it.
right.
Okay.
So the town gets back.
So we say, you have to pay it to the town quarterly in our franchise agreement that we're gonna have.
Is that in this ordinance or
No,
is
it's
that?
in the
No,
franchise.
we're just talking the ordinance tonight.
In- oh,
Just-
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Maybe I wasn't clear about that at the beginning.
okay. So if the town doesn't charge a franchise fee, everything goes the way it's always gone.
Yeah.
You pay the subscription if you have cable.
Yeah.
If you don't have cable, you don't pay it. Is there a franchise fee for the cable if you only subscribe to internet?
Yes. We raised that question with Charter, and they said it is a service that they provide, so they charge a franchise fee.
Because there is no tax on internet. And
No,
there are
there
no service
No.
fees and additional
right,
government
yeah.
taxation.
Yeah. Look at your bill. You have Charter? You guys have Charter, yeah.
No, we have Spectrum
Spectrum is
Charter,
Charter.
but I have internet only. I only pay $49.99. I don't
And
pay tax. I don't pay all those little fees.
It doesn't say franchise fee on your bill?
I don't pay any fees. I pay $49.99. That's it. That's all that's on the bill.
That may
There's,
be a special program.
unlike my cell phone bill, which, there's $12 or something worth of little nitty gritty fees there, but
We questioned this government relations manager one time about the franchise fees.
I'm curious because,
Internet
with all
service.
the legislation around
Yeah.
internet service and
Right.
people's requirements to make it
Right.
overall across,
Let me get you an answer.
yeah, I'm curious. So that I had to do that breakdown thinking in order
Yeah.
to get to that. So thank you.
Lindsay, do you have your contact information?
What's that?
Does Lindsay have your contact information?
Yes.
She does.
Okay, so if I send it to you, you can send it to her.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in that same letter, I'm sorry, in that same letter from Ms. Switchenbach, it says the franchise fee would be collected on video, cable, TV services only, not internet and telephone services, and only collected on the cable TV services that are outlined in the gross revenue definition of the franchise agreement, which of course we haven't seen because it's still in a draft, correct?
Mhm.
So, and again, says they do not add anything if the town does not charge it, and that's not a rental fee. So I guess I'm getting confused with that because you are charging a filing fee to the cable company in this ordinance, correct?
Yeah, let's set things up in the beginning.
Yeah. So it says, in a town that imposes, say, a 5% franchise fee, the billing statement would show a cable TV package as $100 and a separate line item stating a franchise fee of $5. So therefore, the customer would pay $105. In a town that does not impose a fee, then they would just pay that $100. So it's definitely a fee, not a rental agreement. It's a fee. In her own writing that was sent to Lindsay back in this letter in June. And it's on basic cable TV, the tiers, the equipment, like if you have the converter, pay-per-view movies, installation fees, sometimes advertising and home shopping. It all depends on what you put in the gross revenue definition in the franchise agreement. So I think that's a really important component of this ordinance when you're looking at fees.
Yeah, I was just looking for that letter from Melinda Kenny. I'll find it and send it.
Okay, thanks.
But that's interesting to hear from Shelley, because Shelley works in the limit. We'll put that.
Anybody else? I just know for me personally, in anticipation of this meeting, my cable bill went up $12.50 a month. And we called and they were just added charges they put on for this, that, the other thing, wouldn't take them off. $12.50 a month. Not to mention the additional $250 a month CMP has charged. So I'd be looking at them a lot closer than a $5. But
Charter's gross profit margin right now is 45%, and Comcast is 71%. I'd love to have a business that had numbers like that.
yeah,
So they're doing very well, but I will get you and.
yeah, well, thank you. We depend on, yeah, Tony.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've learned some things tonight. I like it.
Try to be an information.
New wrinkles.
Okay,
Sure.
anybody else? All right,
Thanks, Tony.
we have to make motion, close the public, no, just I guess the public hearing is closed. And once again, thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight. All right,
Sure.
and we'll switch gears and go to our regular meeting. Welcome to the October 2nd, 2023 regular meeting of the Lyman Board of Selectmen. This meeting is a public proceeding and is being recorded. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing is the public input. Public will have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Please use the podium to address the board. There isn't, remember, there's no dialogue between us, and then this is time for you to make statements, and we keep it to 5 minutes, please. So we don't go on to 10, 15.
Good evening, Joe Wagner, 26 Day Road. Tom, last meeting you requested a copy of the bylaws that show the revisions that were made,
Yes.
and that's in process right now. I believe that has been sent over to Lindsay recently from Don Herman. So one thing I would suggest, maybe the possibility of a joint workshop between the two boards so we could work out the language together rather than going back and forth, back and forth. A reminder to all Lyman residents that there's a special town meeting scheduled for tomorrow, October 3rd at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. The purpose of the meeting is to determine if funding from surplus will be approved with separate and distinct positions of Select Board Clerk and Town Clerk. It is my understanding that the registrar will be here starting at 6:30 p.m. to check in registered Lyman voters. I suggest that folks allow extra time to check in the event of a substantial turnout. Now, also parking here at Town Hall is a bit limited, so folks may want to park over at the Lyman Library. Also, we've received permission for people to park at the Masons Lodge, at the Methodist Church, and at the St. Philip's lot as well. And we ask all folks who do park some distance to take care walking to and from the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Kane, Pines Lane. The Bunganut Committee and a number of townspeople did a walkabout at Bunganut this past weekend. It was wonderful. We learned a lot. We saw a lot. One of the things that I noticed was there are wood chips all over the beach area, right along the water. And in looking at some not so some pictures that were taken not so long ago, noticed that those weren't there. So did some checking and learned that those wood chips were just put there when the trees came down after the storms this past year. They're horrible. They're not comfortable to walk on. I can see splinters, left and right. So just wanted to make that you aware of that. And I'm wondering if we could get either volunteers or somebody to come rake that up and put it back to how it was prior to.
Thank you, Karen.
And I'm going to talk about that too. It was a great walk around with everyone. And one thing that we did find was we were there
Can you
towards the
introduce
end of Michelle Felicetti, Red Brook Drive. Whilst we were there, when we got towards the shack, apparently that's not locked. And there was a needle and a lighter in there. And so I didn't know if there was even the possibility, because it's like, who do you call? I mean, so now that we're on York County Sheriff, could there be a number maybe posted like for assistance? Because what do you do with those? I know you're supposed to call them to have the York County Sheriff take care of them. When you call them on the weekend, it goes to admin. So then you have to wait till Monday to call. So I think I asked Amber to do it today. I don't know if anything happened or taken care of.
talked to
But
Lindsay about it.
one of the other things too is the kids' play stand over by their equipment down below. There was huge shards of glass and huge screws in the sand pit where the kids are supposed to play. There was a whole solo cup full from that. So there's some really dangerous things kind of down there. And one thing we noticed as we went through is there's a lot of limbs that probably are Vicky-
And trees,
that are probably should be looked at before we open next season, because they really are
definitely.
scary to think that it would fall on someone. It would definitely kill a kid. So it was a great walkthrough. We took lots of notes, lots of pictures. Karen's probably going to put together an amazing PowerPoint that we can do for you guys at some point. But just those few things with the glass and the screws and the trees and the needles kind of were like things I wanted to just bring to your attention, and maybe just tell us how to deal with it or who to call. I know it happens at Kennebunk all the time. I don't know what happens when they find them there.
I didn't see that. You missed it.
Yeah, I have pictures of it.
No, I believe you. I totally.
It was inside the shack. There's no lock on that shack.
Like where they collect money shack?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue Briggs. I hate to beat a dead horse. I'm speaking as private citizen at this point. But I did ask at the last meeting how many ballots were cast November 11th. The meeting minutes reflected one statement of my 5-minute dissertation. When I did ask how many ballots were cast, and that ballot will become part of public record. And I understand that there are people who are new to doing this. I'm not trying to fault anybody. I just think it's important that no matter how, I don't know what the word is, but how small the error is on a ballot, it's important to get it corrected. It's not difficult. Go back, look at the ballots, count the ballots, make the corrections, reissue it. I'm not putting blame on anybody. I just think it's important. That becomes part of Town of Lyman's public record for the rest of the millennium. And I asked that to the select board, and I was reminded that the select board doesn't answer questions. Granted. However, Chapter 3.9 of the Charter allows the select board to answer critical questions, or they can respond by putting it on by researching and putting it on the next agenda. I think a ballot question is a critical question. And I know Rusty wrote down the numbers. They don't add up, and they are not what the amount of ballots cast were. So I'm just going to ask again, how many ballots were cast? Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we get answers to that question, those questions?
I
Can
think,
we put it on the agenda so that, I'm
One
sure
of the
there's other
things-
people.
I'll point out, one of the things that's going on nobody has asked me directly. So I put in the agenda last time when I did my report, anybody can call my office, I have the information there, but nobody's taken the time to ask the town manager. So that's where I would recommend people start. You can wait 2 weeks and come to a board meeting and say whatever you want, but I'm in the office, like,
Well,
call me.
honestly, if I bring this to the board, they are your boss. They can ask you. Has anybody asked you to
No,
review it?
no, and you can ask me too. They
Well,
have not asked me.
you can also answer during a board meeting because you're not a selectman.
My
Okay.
understanding is the public
I
comments
think
are
I've asked the
delay.
question.
All right, let's just have point of order. You do have it in your report
Mhm.
to us, so
I think I've asked the question.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Now we'll get into our packets here, mail. This is from the York County Sheriff's Office. They're nice, they're really nice. It's called the Insider from July to September. It's a very well put together, kind of a newsletter, if you will. It talks about everything that they've been doing. So if you see that on the website, and then it also has the state Alfred's town stats for August 23, dispatch analysis. And, you know, it breaks down everything. It's very lengthy, very lengthy. So take a look at it online.
Is this out on the bulletin board?
No.
I'll give mine. Okay. It's just nice.
It's in the agenda packet.
Oh, on mine?
Yeah. Yep.
Then I'll keep mine.
Okay, review and approve minutes from 9/18/23.
I got two, and I don't know, I got two of these. Did you get two as well? I didn't know if there's anything different, if you meant to give two. Okay, thank you. I'll just put one aside.
I'll make a motion to get it to discussion. To approve these minutes.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay,
Right up here.
Under item 5, we do not have at least I've never met the select board member named Thomas Sweat. It's just to clarify. Believe that should say Thomas Hatch.
Is it
Hope so.
something that
I don't know.
That's what I was wondering.
Should I run if Celeste comes into the library?
Well, tell us something tonight. Okay.
So I would just say for the record that if that was changed, then I don't see anything else in these that would
Thank
prohibit
you.
me from signing off on that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Payroll warrant 13 in the amount of $26,356.84.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll warrant number 13 in the amount of $26,356.84.
Second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable warrant number 12 for FY '24 in the amount of $629,346.30.
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrant of $629,346.30.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Well, it's one, number 12. I didn't say that.
Oh, payroll warrant 12. On page 4 for the Secretary of State, the first payment range is from 9/7 to 9/14. And then the second is 9/14 to 9/21. So my concern would be that running a report and pulling information twice from the same day, the possibility of maybe having extra money in there, depending.
That it got counted twice.
That,
on
yeah.
that day. That's,
Because I know when I run reports for like payroll, when I
yeah,
did, if you included something that you already paid, it still pulled it in. It didn't tell you like, oh, we've already paid that.
once again,
So that would be my only concern
good
with
catch.
that.
Once again, jeez.
Can we look into that?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, I always bring the AP stuff here. If you guys want to sit through it, but sometimes it can be a lot, so.
I'll sift through it.
I know.
Well, until we answer that, I would rescind my motion.
Okay.
So would you just deduct that one?
Well, we just want to make sure that.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, we don't want to hold up the whole warrant, right?
Yeah.
Or based on confirmation that this is correct? Or just pull it out completely?
Well, I'm not going to approve it until we know. She raised the valid question.
No, I'm not, I'm just saying, should we just deduct this, the second one?
Take
That's all
off
I'm
the-
saying, so that everyone else can get paid.
Well, yeah,
That's all I'm
But-
saying. I'm with you on not approving it.
so how do you go about doing that?
Will we do some math?
So,
Have to do the math?
like, Jeanette will hold that payment for that specific one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be $612,413.75, but somebody can check my math on that.
I can see you already have your calculator out.
It's like,
so-
oh, I don't have to do it.
I wasn't going there.
I don't have enough fingers and toes for that.
What did you have, Amber?
612,413.75.
Because we're only gonna take out the 9,265, right? And 96.
Oh, I took the whole thing out. So yes, technically you could take out the second payment and yeah.
So I'm saying $620,080.34. $620,080.34.
Okay, yep.
Been confirmed by 2 calculators?
All right, so I make a motion that we approve accounts payable warrant number 12 in the amount of $620,080.34.
I'll second that.
And just for the record, that takes out check number 10,062.
Okay, do we add to that if it does pan out that the 14th did not get added twice? That we release that, or is that gonna,
Okay, that has to wait now.
no, it has to wait till the next warrant?
If there's a problem with that, I'm sure we'll hear from Jeanette. Okay. Good question. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review and updated bids for concession stand at the ball field.
Nice catch, Amber.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is just putting it back out for just
Those 3 items, right?
the deck and the stairs, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so we did RFP and then you guys asked them to revise it and whittle it down to just item 1, which is the deck and the stairs. So they have given, both of them have given a bid for just that, just the stairs.
And rails.
Guess somebody will die.
And I think we weren't gonna use ARPA funds. We were talking, last time we talked about it, we were talking about using capital improvement.
Yeah.
Which I would need a motion from the board for Jeanette to pay out from capital improvement.
Okay, so the bids from BD Carpentry was for that modified estimate is $4,030. And from KCB Landscaping was $4,950 for the same thing.
And this is apples to apples because that's what we went back out and
Yep.
asked
Yeah.
for because last time it was confusing the way
That's right.
disposal was worded and included in some and not the other.
Yep.
So,
And their narrative is the same.
Have we used both of these contractors
Yes,
in the past?
yes. BD did the sign out here.
Oh, thank you.
Closure.
Cool. I was gonna ask that. Did nice work there.
Yep.
And I would make a motion that we assign that, ask BD Carpentry to do that work for us for $4,030.
funded
Just for the, on the revised, for item number 1, remove and replace existing exterior stairs and railings to the second floor, the concession stand.
You want to add where we're funding that from?
That the money will come from capital improvement.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
All in favor?
More than happy to let somebody else do it.
Nice.
Just want everyone to take a turn.
I'll get it.
Okay. Department and committee reports. Kennybunk Pond Beach Committee. Karen?
So you have a lot of information in your packet. Basically, what you're seeing are the quotes that we got for the automated gate. We got quotes from CTR of Maine and quotes from GSI, forget where they're located. I also did an extensive search to find other companies that could quote. I gave Lindsay a list of all of my searches. We did put it out to one other company and they never got back to us by the deadline. So those are the quotes that we have. The gate that we are recommending from the committee is the simple barrier gate quoted by CTR for a total of $98,2896. That provides everything that we need for safety. It provides the ability to lock the entrance gate at a designated time, with the ability to change that time seasonally. And I did speak with Dave Riley about what times he was manually opening and closing the gate. So he gave me some good information. And then I looked at the sunset sunrise schedule for the past year. And in the signage recommendations that I also gave you for tonight, those times are listed in there. You did allocate $20,000 for an automated gate from ARPA funds. The committee is asking that you reserve the balance of those funds for Kennybunk Pond, because in talking with or getting a quote from Brendan for cameras and networking and considering electrical, it's all coming in way higher than we expected it to be. So monies are going to be needed for that. So if we do go to the simple barrier gate at this 9,800 and change, there should be enough money still in the ARPA funds that you designated to finish the project.
Is this a gate that can be built upon later on to put more bells and whistles
It
on
is.
if we choose to do so?
It is.
Okay, great. So this gets you going, simple.
Yeah.
And then we can build as time goes on.
Yep. I also want to mention that I spoke with the representative from CTR, who has been absolutely wonderful in working with us and educating us and sticking with us throughout this whole ordeal. And we asked him if we would require a service and maintenance agreement for the gate. He said he'd love to sell us one, but he really couldn't recommend it. He said it's very simple and he's willing to show someone how to do some of the simple tweaks or replacement parts that might go. So again, very super reasonable, great company to work with.
Is this still a gate that if I'm like out on the pond and my car's parked in the parking lot, the gate closes, I can still get out?
Yes.
Well, I'm looking at, and this may be the older quote. There's a couple. This one's from February, and it talks about the molded clamshell cards sequentially numbered at 100. Is that,
That's the old one.
that's the old one, so.
That's the one with all the bells and whistles with the
Okay, thank you.
passes.
But that's not what this other one is.
Nope. It's a
I see
simple,
that, I see how much simpler it is. It's 6 items. I like it.
so once you decide what gate you want to go forward with, then I can set up a meeting with Brendan, and Nigel has agreed to join me in that meeting to help dumb it down for me, so that we can talk to him about what is actually going to be needed for networking and cameras. And then the next step after that will be all the electrical. And then we should be done.
I just got really excited for you because I realized that you're not
I'm
impeded.
I'm like the
today.
horse ready to get back to the barn, you know?
Usually they're trying
I
to get out of the barn.
apologize for going off subject, but I appreciate this. I like the idea. In this case, I believe less is more.
Karen, you might not know this, and I apologize for not seeing this earlier when I was looking over this at home. 3 of them, 2 of the older ones from the CTR one, they all have a heater kit, which is required for temperatures below 0. Only one of them from DSI does not have it on, but one of them does. So would the simpler gate not require a heater kit?
I will have
Would it
to,
still work under if it was below 0?
I will double check on that
Okay,
and get back to you.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Road Commissioner. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
What up to?
Good report.
Been going around doing where they paved to get everything, all the paving's done. We've had so far this year, it's all striped, ready. Worked on the day road, cleaning up around. Some work on the shore road. Trees that were broke in the road, moved trees. I've been going around for the budget stuff, see what roads are gonna work on next, what we're gonna fix, where we're gonna fix to start that, to get that going. I got on Howard Road today, there's a hole in the road with a big sinkhole on the right as you, on the left when you drive in. And somebody put an umbrella in it. Somebody put an umbrella in it. And so we put stuff in it, and Wednesday we're gonna go and cut it out, put cones around it, and it's off to the side. Minute you pull in on Howard on the left, where they got that trucks, they got a pit in there now, or whatever they got out there, Patrick Landscaping, but they're coming out, and like I say, the culvert should hold up. It's an old metal one, so we're gonna change that out. But everything seems to be going good. I've been getting things done, cleaned up a lot, like on, like say, Day Road, Deering Ridge. That needs to be ditched on the hill because it's all eroded underneath the road. Paul brought that to my attention, so I got to go over and ditch that out and do other things. But everything seems to be going. Not many complaints. People call.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all good. Everything's
Good.
good.
Any other obstacles?
No, everything's been good. Answering a lot of questions, different people different things that they've asked and want to do, and
Great, awesome.
try to answer them best we can.
Well, nothing but good things we've heard, so thank you very much.
That's good so far.
Yeah, appreciate
Is
it.
any work gonna be done on John Street this year?
Yeah, supposed to do that and Grasshopper.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I'm putting a Calvin in on Grasshopper. Within a couple weeks, I'm gonna do the culvert there on the end. There's a small one at the end that just crosses, not enough elevation. So I'm gonna put the same size. It's all crushed on one side. So I'm gonna put a new one in there before they pave it. And what they want to do is just like base it, get it roughed in, let it set for the winter. We can't have no pavement on it because it'll be all pushed up with the plow. So we're gonna get that area fixed and hopefully let it set a little bit. Then they'll go over and pave that there and John Street. And they're supposed to take the safety bumps are supposed to come out. They're supposed to take them out because people are complaining because when they get down the road, well, people are flying down that road and whatever's in the back of their truck's bouncing. You know, all hours of the night, you know, stuff slamming. So they're supposed to take them out. But I said they were only supposed to be there in the crosswalk that crosses. They said it was only there for the lady that picked up her mail that lived across the street or something. Or that was the only reason. But that's supposed to come out also.
That was put in when we, at the recommendation of we had a safety committee, the village safety committee back 10, 12 years ago, I think.
Yep, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
that was a recommendation to that. And it was because the man at the library at the time, the librarian,
Ken,
he was struggling to get out there
yeah.
and get the mail.
Well, I
The
mean,
sweeping for next year, I've checked with 2 or 3 other people. Showham's going out of business. They're done. She's completely going out of it. And we had Mike before do it, Suya, and we had another company that came that didn't do very good. And I called Main Sweeping Municipalities. They do and the price of them, Mike was $150 an hour, $75 for a truck. So now a truck is when he goes, you don't lose any hours of time. He'll sweep, truck's in front of him, dumps it into his truck. He keeps going. He hauls it off and goes. These other companies are $300. I talked to somebody today was $300 to go with no truck. You got to find them a place to dump. So you have to have a place, town's got to provide, or whoever needs a place for them to dump the stuff. So I've talked to him and the price was fair. And he's been doing it. He knows all the streets and he's easy to deal with because if you want him to do, say, if I went around and say, hey, we need it over this street's real bad. This one doesn't because we had a lot of rain. It was clean and washed. He don't mind doing this much and being done instead
If there's
of.
any way to recycle.
I was just
the
thinking,
sand, like,
I was like, can you reuse that?
But that's
well, I mean, I know it gets a lot of dirt and crap and papers or whatever else is on the road, cigarette butts or whatever, but I wonder if there's any way to screen that stuff out and use it over again.
I would be willing to try to figure
that'd be
something out
awesome.
with you, Vicky.
but that's all. That's all I got.
Sounds like I'm out.
Thank you.
I just wanted to beat Amber to that, so.
Hi, Chief.
Anything to
Just a couple
reuse.
quick updates. Hiring process is underway for a new full-time employee. We've got 3 applicants. Should have a name for you next Wednesday night at the Fire Commission meeting. We're selling the old fire truck, the 2002 Freightliner. It's out to sealed bid right now. I believe we have a bid. There's at least an envelope that says something about bid. I didn't open it yet. So we have at least one we can open next week. And then a reminder that October 12th, Thursday night's our open house at the fire station, 5 to 8. Come on down, be a lot of good stuff. That's all I got.
CEO. Hello, Brenda.
Yeah. So, I do need to apologize. I did, a report and I didn't get it to Lindsay in time for your packets. But Friday was the last day of the first quarter of this year, believe it or not, already. So, I put
Thank
together
you.
some figures primarily for myself, but then I thought maybe you might be interested in them as well. Just to give everybody an idea of what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Lot going on. So I did 178 permits in the first quarter. A lot of those are just the utility permits, but they count. And I did 156 inspections. Been busy.
I guess.
So if there's any questions, if not, that's all I got for you.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Tax clerk. Don't have anything. We have expense report from treasurer, which is lengthy and detailed and posted. Any discrepancy, Amber?
Didn't see anything.
Oh,
But
okay.
on that one, I just look for the red. There's no red. I'm good for right
Our
now.
watchdog over there.
No, I understand. I saw the red on that one. And
Yeah, when you're like, oh, wait.
it does
oh,
catch
okay.
your attention.
Town manager?
Just a couple of updates. Some of it's kind of a little bit of repeat because the transfer station and Kennybunk Pond and everything going on over there. So I put out some notices. Work is underway, which is great. And I think it will get done pretty soon. And we've had some employee training. So we got people going to the 21A, Title 21A elections training. So that'll help us cross-train people in the elections department. And yeah, some updates on the elections. I did put in there was a lot of write-in ballots for the September 11th election. A lot of scattered write-ins, but the folks that won, Sue and Bill, they came in on a landslide.
Okay, thank you.
And then anyone ever has any questions about anything, they want to contact me if they have specific questions or anything they want to go over, they're always welcome to call me or stop in or send me an email.
Awesome, thanks. Other. So was your report that you gave at the beginning for Bunganut, is that?
Yeah, I didn't know if we were included or not. I mean, there was quite a bit that we.
I'm sure if you would like to be, it says committees.
Yeah, so, I mean, was there anything else that we really wanted to? I mean, we did see like the bridge got reinforced somehow, the one you and Rusty talked about when we went
Okay.
over there. There was like blocks put underneath it, so it was a little safer than what you guys had encountered when you went. I don't know who did it, but it was blocked up.
Wow.
But there was like, so we did find a lot of trash there. We found like bottles and Vicky had a.
Yeah.
Then you found the bag.
Then I found doggy do bags and we filled those with the trash we were finding in the woods. So there was just a lot of trash, but again, like just like noticing like they pulled out the old barbecues and the cement to the bottom of them and then they're stored in the woods to the side. There was what, 4 of them there?
Yeah, but because I know why they got thrown right there, because they're heavy as.
Yeah, but
Oh,
they're right
yeah,
down by the beach.
so-
They're right. So when you walk down and you have where the wood chips no one likes, right here to the right hand side, the tote road that comes in for the handicap part, right there by the handicap, they're all rusted out, just laying there with the cement still attached to their ends, so they weren't taken care of. There was a couple down the other end that were also thrown in the woods. There's a whole rotted out, I guess where the porta potties were down near the pines. It's all this big,
Like
yeah.
platform thing.
The platform's like
Yeah.
all just kind of
Because they're
rotted
just
and hanging
messy old
there,
plywood
and
that goes.
yeah, so we didn't know if that was still being used or, things like that. But I said the rusted up metal kind of laying there was kind of like, huh. And I mean everything else looked kind of like this. Vicky tested the swings for us. She did. We're good. We're safe there. Like I said, probably the play area with the sand pit was of concern because of what we found in there. But
Well, there is that slide, the plastic slide
Oh, yeah.
is ripped, and
that's going to be a
that
butt
looks like
catcher.
that could really
Yeah.
pinch. some
That's going to
little
pinch a
skin.
little biscuits coming down the slide. So that
Yeah.
was the other thing we found too that was of concern. If I don't know if there's someone can melt it back down, it's humped up and there's a split right in it. So if a kid comes down, it's going to catch their butt or their shorts, especially if they're sliding in their swimsuit. So that's something to consider
Maybe
to
we replace
fix.
the slide.
Replace the slide, or if it can be fixed in any way, I don't know. But I think that was basically it. I mean, as far as like the things that were of concern, I think mentioned before was lock the shed so no one else goes hanging out in there. We did go into the Y and looked in there. We did find fans on. We shut them off. And definitely something probably died in one of those traps because it's quite smelly over there. And I think that was it. I mean, it was a great walk, lots of pictures, lots of great ideas and thoughts. There was a set of stairs still left going to the waters. What kind of, was that like?
They were aluminum? or-
No, the other ones,
other ones?
down the further down. So there's still a set of steps going into the water further down the trail that probably should be pulled
Oh,
before.
yeah, down on the right side.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like that.
that stuff,
Correct.
is that,
Trex, yeah.
is that allowed
yeah.
to stay in the water? We didn't know, because I thought normally that had to be pulled too. It's like the first step is in. So that was kind of the things we saw too that got left there. So that's basically the update on Butternut.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it October 30th? No, that was budget. No, we haven't planned our next meeting. I said we plan on doing it soon, but we wanted to get the walkthrough first. And then like to get pictures in there and start taking notes of what we did find. And then again, we've already reached out for a grant to see if we can get something going there. And then I know Kevin was looking into another grant potential, and Holly was looking, Holly W. was looking into a grant for trails. And also the Day of Giving, we're looking to see to use the chips across the road. We did go out there to the pump house, and that was one thing. Holly and Holly were saying the pond for the irrigation across the street, and you have that nice big parking area. If there was a way, instead of having to set up the ice rink every year, to cut some trees right there and then put some benches there, and there's your skating pond. There's electricity right there at the pump house. There's the meters right on it.
Yep.
So they would be able to string up lights and have benches out there. So instead of worrying about repairing the rips in the skating rink and leveling and things like that, to have it over there, and there's that big parking area, so you won't be competing with the library. And then that way they would have ice skating right there. So just a thought that she was thinking about for Parks and Rec. It'd be
I think
really,
it's a great idea.
I think it is a beautiful little spot. It'd be like really sweet that there's no trees really hanging over. So you'd have this big open area. And it'd be way more economical.
Is the size of it comparable to,
It's bigger.
it's bigger?
Yeah,
Okay, because I missed that part of it. I had to go to
Yeah.
work, so.
Yeah, so it's bigger. So then they could have the shack there to close stuff up. But again, where you have electricity, so you could have lights. You could have, sensor lights that come on in case anyone goes in there. And it already has the gate for locking it too. So, but they were thinking about that as we walked along as well. So that was a really kind of a cool idea.
I
I'm
think
sure.
It's a great idea.
Oh, we gotta put my safety hat on.
Yeah,
If there's any flowing water,
none. It's just flat.
it's just flat.
There's no flow. There's no flowing, because that's the one that dried out. Remember?
Yep,
Yeah, no flowing water.
Okay.
It's just as still as can be.
so we wouldn't have any pockets.
We wouldn't have any pockets of whoops. Yeah. Man down. Yeah, there was no flowing water whatsoever.
Okay.
So Holly and Holly really thought that was a fantastic idea. If something the select board would be behind for Parks and Rec. So it was
When is your survey? When's the survey closed?
it's still open. We're still October 30th.
Oh, the end of the month. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And how many surveys do we have now?
It's at 121 responses.
Wow.
And we only had
that's
60
great.
last
I was gonna
time.
respond to that as well, but I was waiting until
Yeah.
last
Yep.
Saturday. to-
Yeah, so no,
Take a
so
look.
we're getting lots of responses. We're gonna put it all together for you guys and do a nice PowerPoint presentation. I got my own personal I'm so excited. Got my own little machine to present on the wall. So anywho, we'll present something nice for you guys to see, and just, hopefully we'll have some stuff back from some of the, grants we're looking for, but that's gonna take time, but we're working on it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Had quite a turnout for that.
Yeah, it was great.
Was, what, like 20 people? Thought that was great.
Yeah, that's-
Okay, new business. The first one, a discussion regarding festival event. It's come to the town's attention that over the last weekend, people were out at a local event Some of them were residents, and they were approached by former elected officials regarding actions of current employees. Several people came to the town hall to state their concerns about it. And I think it's one of those things that when I was elected, that I wanted to make sure that this place was a safe place to work and that people were respected. So, and I don't want to get into any of the, the legalities of it here tonight, but I just think that people need to be able to, employees that, I'll just read the statement, need to be, the employees deserve not to be defamed, slandered, or victimized by any former employees, elected officials, appointees, or employees. Our employees have the right to due process. Our residents deserve to enjoy public events without being cornered and asked by former officials and or current elected officials, appointees, or employees. So I don't know what the legal ramifications of this is. I don't know if we should be, talk to our attorneys to see if there is anything. But this stuff is getting out of hand, my opinion, and I think we should look to kind of take it down a notch or two, because once again, we can't control social media, we can't control people out there, but I want to make sure that our employees feel that they are welcomed here. They're doing a good job, and we put them in a good place here to work. We've even had one employee that said that she heard that this was an awful place to work. A terrible place. This office was a terrible place to work. And when she came in here and she started working, she's going, this is a wonderful place to work. Everybody's happy and they're doing a nice job.
I like it.
Thank you. We've come a long way. And I think it's, I think it's unfortunate. I don't go on social media. We've had this before. We've had this discussion in the past. I do not want to go down that road again on social media, but there's a lot of that stuff. You can't control it out there. But when people are being, townspeople are being approached and, being told things that are going on that are untrue here in the town hall, I think it's going a little bit over the line. So
It is, but I would also think that our employees, if they are uncomfortable with that or not, that do they feel safe enough to come and state or there's whistleblower protections and things, and I would hope that they would feel comfortable enough to be able to come on their own accord and drop these things, because honestly, I feel silly even talking about this because I have no idea. I mean,
that's a tough one. You're absolutely right.
what
I've
you're
had
talking
employees
about.
come to me and point blank and told me some things. I said, you need to do something. It's nothing I can feel back.
And I understand that.
And they're like, nah, I don't want. They don't want to get into that controversy.
Yeah.
So I think in some of our responsibility as select board people that we need to try to make it so people feel comfortable and that they're doing a good job and they don't need to be looking over the shoulders.
It's also in your personnel policy.
So we have code of ethics out there now. We're moving along in the right direction. I just feel it's unfortunate that we had, after something like that, we had several complaints come into the town hall about that.
So I don't even know, was there a festival in this town?
No.
So it wasn't even in this town?
No. Okay. Application for Conservation and Forestry Committee. See a big,
Just because we don't share the name until we make a decision.
okay,
That's all.
thank you.
So,
It says confidential, I just want to,
yeah, it's only just to protect the specific applicant in case we say, nah, we're not gonna do that, right?
are you aware of this?
I'm only aware of this because I think I came into the town hall after Lindsay had spoken to this person about the interest. We thought it was really cool. So I don't know, Lindsay, if you want to just, without sharing names, maybe just speak to the summary.
Yeah, in the summary, I just put, this person's like seeking education in this field for forestry and conservation. So they might only be the only person on that committee, but I could foresee that maybe they work alongside like the Bunganut committee and identify things like, you know, as we're working on grants or how to rebuild trail systems, you know, they would look into the conservation side of it, of how do you build a trail without interrupting the natural habitat and stuff like that. So I think they're probably gonna work alongside Bunganut would be my recommendation.
I think it's a great starting off point, and I think there's so many things that probably more other people are far more qualified to know about than me, but things like wood chips and if they're dyed or where they're sourced from and all these things that the sustainability person at my job educates me on that I'm like, oh, I had no idea. So I think it's really cool, and I think it's a good opportunity for this individual, and if they're interested in volunteering, then we should take them.
It may just be the starting point of this committee,
Exactly, yeah.
getting,
So is this a committee that's on,
It's in the charter.
It's
it's on the charter, but nobody's,
Right.
And we haven't really, I don't think,
no. it's
truly
just
been
one.
like, hey, join this is the charge. I think it's more of. organized.
Is it in the pamphlet that you created? It is, okay.
have you guys seen the pamphlet that was created for volunteering? Trying to get people to,
I don't think I have. But that's
it's
probably.
really nice,
It
you did
is,
a nice
yeah.
job.
There's some at the library, if you ever want
Looking for volunteers.
to. No. Not right now.
So do we need an application filled out by this person to?
No, they went through all that process and I spoke with them, and that's why there's a summary in front of you. So it's up to the board at this point if you want to appoint them. I did put an appointment sheet in your packet, your signature folder.
No, okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we appoint this applicant to the Conservation and Forestry Committee.
I'm gonna second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So for the record, we just appointed Emily Bauer to the Conservation and Forestry Committee.
She came on a walk.
Yeah.
She's very sweet, very
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Poll permit.
I don't dance anymore.
Oh, boy.
CMP poll permit
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
in the town of Lyman. On the Brock Road, pole 9. One,
It's just because it's a private poll, correct?
I think I saw in there something about an anchor pole.
customers, Nason Property Management.
It's probably associated with the subdivision, I would expect.
See something from the plan board. Just need our approval?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go, so the owner of this company is like related to my family, so I'm gonna abstain from all of this. Sorry.
So I'll make a motion to approve the poll permit for Private Power Services to do an anchor pole of the existing pole number 9 on Brock Road or off Brock Road.
It's 19 feet.
A second?
Can I
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Okay.
think it's pretty standard stuff
Sorry,
right
I mean,
there.
I wasn't trying to make it weird. I just
No,
also
it's
don't
the-
want anyone
it's the
being
right
like,
thing
you're
to do.
giving Hector business. Like, I don't.
So this next one, D, I put on here because I looked into the pole permit things and it's technically, it's up to you guys to approve them. We typically get maybe like 1 or 2 pole permits a year. I don't remember we got that many last year. So if you want, you have the option, you can just appoint like a designee, like myself or somebody that can just approve them for the town hall. Unless you want to keep them coming to the agenda, then this is what we'll do. So it's up to you guys.
I think it's so few and far between.
Yeah.
I think this is only like the second one I've seen since I've been on the
Yeah.
board, so.
You can see all the deep thought that went into our part. I mean, is that something that can come under your purview as a CEO, or is that a conflict, or is there any problem with that, or?
I don't think there's a problem.
Kim kind of seems to be like it's part of a project.
And I was just thinking that I would also have Marcel to confirm with too, so. He might have an opinion on that.
Maybe.
You mean you would want to check with him first before you guys just take it on, or?
No, you would want to check with him before I approve something.
Right.
Right, but I have no problem with that. I did it in Acton, so.
Okay.
No, I think it'd be part of
So
an application.
all right, so I'm gonna make a motion that the CEO's office is appointed as the designee for permit, for pole permit locations. Is that the right motion to make?
I'll second that motion.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Any other business by anybody? Okay.
Ready for this?
You're ready. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
ready. I'm gonna make a motion that we go into executive session per MRSA 405, section H, consultation with the CEO on pending enforcement matter.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Start signing.
Can't.